TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt. I was down below the commas. I put dollars on my head like I don't wanna. Yeah, I'm proud of what I did, I'm gonna come up. Yeah, you left me on red, so don't try to run it. Want no smoke, then come in peace. Flow so foreign overseas. Got them praying, they like please. They want cheddar, not no cheese. On the fine, they don't get it, it's amazing. I was down bad in the basement. I would pray to God for a placement. I was never patient, I was always racing. Got me on the drive, that's a flagrant. Little boy, tell me what you chasing. We gotta do better, gotta be clever, gotta love more, that's a statement. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
It's silver step, yeah, I was just inside the grave. When I resurrected in like 3 whole days. Shut up on my car, I had a sneaker. Somebody take a tenant because we the way. Walk around the house, got drip on anyway. They gon' eat it up like it's a dinner day. Seen a Lambo, claimed it on the interstate. Claim it's nothing when it's Jesus in the stage. On the front of silver, it's the game. I feel my calendar, I'm losing track of all the days. Call me water boy, and I was giving lemonade. I was sitting on the bench, they had to put me in the game. I be from the data, they said ices in my veins. Got a shit that but I'll never be ashamed. Pushing on the breakthrough when I know it's gonna be great. It's time to celebrate you when your family gon' hate.
They just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out. And I'm back like I never left. They just treating every song like another check. I'm pulling up to every court and I'm calling next. They try to end me, now I'm stopping my foot. And me, now I'm stopping my foot on their neck. You'll be surprised what they do for attention. God looks into your heart and intentions. I see you judging in all of my mentions. I'm out the grave, I thank God for redemption. Now I'm taking it a step at a time. My future is bright like I turned on the lights. It's crazy how I see them right through the blind. I used to explain how I'm catching these flights. Don't hit my DMs with arrogance. I gotta do it with excellence. I'm reaching the needy, it's evident. And they still in the room with the elephant. Wow. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sold in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV and another Royal Rebounds podcast. We're live here post-game discussing the Sacramento Kings 101-128 loss tonight to the Memphis Grizzlies, or actually today. It was a day, early game. Kings do not play well in early games, especially after a triple overtime. It was a complete blowout. Started off with an 11-0 run by the Memphis Grizzlies, and then it turned into a complete blowout later in the game. I'm back in the studio. Calvin and I are here. We're still having fun. We're still talking about Kings basketball, even though it was a very, very tough game to watch. If it's your first time to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you are a Kings fan, and make sure you hit that like button as well. All right, Cal, I know it feels good for you. I'm back. I'm here. I'm running the show.
Glad to have you back.
Take some weight off of your shoulders. And also, we don't have to worry about technology and all those fun things right now. So what are your first thoughts on this game?
Man, there's not much. I mean, this game was just a catastrophe from the get-go. Down 11-0 right away, like you said. Look, we got to call a spade here. The Kings have been down a lot of their main rotation players now for multiple games in a row. They've needed these super, super big energy efforts from everybody on the bench for multiple games in a row. They're coming off a triple overtime game. Everybody plays a ton of minutes. these are not excuses by any means, but this is just what happened. They just did not have any gas left in the tank tonight, and you could see that literally from the opening tip.
Yep. No Rashawn Holmes tonight. He's not listed out with an eye injury, which is the last time we saw him. He was dealing with that eye injury. He's listed out with an illness. Still no Harrison Barnes. Mo Harkless is out tonight too. So it was a bit of an interesting starting lineup. The Kings started Fox, Hallie, Len, Davis, and Metu. This is the first time we've seen this starting lineup this season, and I think it's safe to say that this starting lineup sucks. And the Kings just look exhausted in this whole game.
Yeah.
Everything was short. You know, they weren't making plays. They weren't playing defense. I don't know how many open drives I saw to the basket for the Memphis Grizzlies.
It was a
I
layup
saw
line the whole
open
game.
three-pointers. The Kings, it didn't look like a Kings game today. I had to check my phone to make sure I was watching the right game because it didn't look like the Kings showed up to this game at all.
No, not at all. I mean, even Peja here in front of me, he can't even look at you guys because he was so disappointed with the Kings' effort tonight. Angel 2000, I'm glad to see you in the chat. After that big win the Kings had the other day, you were talking about you were already on your third shot of Don Julio, so I was worried after this game what was happening to you. But I'm glad to see you're here. You're still with us.
Yeah. Amazing what one game will do, right?
Yeah. Pour one out for sure for the whole Sacramento community today.
The whole mood has changed. Everybody has changed. You know, it went from Fox might be coming back and he could be an all-star to not playing half the third quarter, not playing at all in the fourth quarter. And people are talking about trading him already. So, Kyle, you want to jump here into the box scores?
Yeah, let's make this quick. No Kings player scores more than 14 points today. Buddy Hield leads the team, shooting 1 of 9 from 3 and 5 of 17 from the field with 14 points and 6 rebounds. Lewis King, his first appearance here, 12 points off the bench, all, garbage minutes, but still managed to get up 11 shots in those 21 minutes he played. 4 of 11 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3. Terrence Davis, 13 points in his start tonight and 4 of 10 shooting. And De'Aaron Fox, 12 points on 4 of 12 shooting as well. Doesn't really merit anybody else's stat line, doesn't really merit me talking about it.
You talk about Jaron Jackson and Dylan Brooks.
Man, Dylan Brooks, I mean, I realize it's easy to look good when no one is guarding you and you're getting wide open dunks all game long.
Yep.
But this guy has really turned himself into a very, very fine player.
Definitely.
He's a really good defender. He was always a really good shooter. Now he's developed more pieces of his game. He can attack. He can shoot the mid-range. He's really a complete player, and him alongside John Morant in the backcourt, it's easy to see why everybody is so high on this young Grizzlies team in being a really good team for a long time to come.
Yeah, no John Morant. He's still out with that knee injury. We saw Steven Adams. It seemed like he was on the floor the whole game. He just constantly kept getting knocked down. He was falling down. There was a flagrant one.
He loves that.
There was a flagrant one called, I think it was on, let's see here. I believe it was on Tristan Thompson. No. I don't remember. But anyways, flagrant foul, shoving Steven Adams to the floor. You look here at the team stats. I'll give you one good thing about this game. 8 total turnovers for your Sacramento Kings. You'd think that you'd win a game when you have less than double-digit turnovers. However, when you shoot 34%.
When you just walk the ball down the floor and chuck it up from 3 and it doesn't go in, you're not turning the ball over necessarily.
Yes.
It's not credited as a turnover, but that basically is a turnover.
Yes, this game turned into a chuck-it fest. I feel like the Kings were just like, okay, we're down 20. It's hero ball time. I'm just going to take a bunch of threes.
Yep.
That's the only way we're going to get back into this game. And that's wrong. You know, if you're a really good three-point shooting team, it's possible. But really, you need to get to the basket. You need to get guys in foul trouble. You need to stop the clock and add points while you're at the free throw line. The Kings shot 34% from the field today, 21% from three-point range. They did shoot 37 free throws, which is almost twice as amount as Memphis. But most of these came late in the game when it was already way out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team stats, and it's so unbelievably one-sided, as you would expect in a game when you're down 37. The Grizzlies were on pace to score 152 points by halftime.
Yep.
Back-to-back 38-point quarters in the first half. The Kings just scored 141 in 3 overtimes the other night.
Yep.
The Grizzlies were on pace to score 150 in regulation here. Points in the paint, again, is one of the big stats for me, always with the Kings. 72 points in the paint for the Grizzlies. We already talked about how it was a layup line. No one was guarding anyone.
Yep.
Free reign to get to the basket all day long. 36 points for the Kings. And as you would expect, they just got out-hustled everywhere, out-rebounded 68-49.
Yeah, it was just an overall terrible performance for your Sacramento Kings. The Grizzlies swept the Kings last season. They went 3-0. So winning this game, the Grizzlies have beat the Kings 4-0 in their last 4 games. And it's feeling kind of like a Lonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox matchup here because we don't really get to see Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox go against each other. They only played against each other one time last season. They played a couple games late in the season when De'Aaron was out with COVID. Mm-hmm. Now no Ja Morant in this game, no problem for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well, De'Aaron's lucky that Ja Morant didn't play in this game because I can only imagine what a guy of his ability, his speed, his athleticism would have done to the rim tonight when everybody was just hanging on it all game long.
Yep.
And it just would have further compacted we've already heard people say Ja Morant is better than De'Aaron Fox after the year that he's having currently. It just would have added to all of that momentum. So very fortunate that we didn't see Ja Morant tonight.
Yeah, Angel, don't even rewatch the game. There's no point.
No, there's absolutely
You're not
no
going to learn anything from this game. I don't think the Kings are going to learn anything from this game.
There's nothing to break down.
Yeah.
There's no
You watch the post game
that happened here that you can say, oh, well, the Kings should have corrected this and they would have done better. They would have been in the game. There's none of that. You just completely throw this game away.
Yeah, you watch Buddy Hield's post-game interview, and he simply says, we can't let that happen again. Yeah. That's all he said. This is one of those games, you just toss it away. The Kings were tired. Whatever excuse you want to come up with, they were not prepared to play this game. They got blown out. They're dealing with injuries, but every team is dealing with injuries. We still have our best player. They didn't have their best player. Still got blown out. So this is a game you just toss to the side, you move on. It will probably be one of those games that you look at towards the end of the season and you're like, we should have won that game. Or we should at least been competitive in that game and had something to build off of. Because you look at the schedule here, we're going back home for the next game, but it is against the Lakers. It took 3 overtimes to beat them last time. I don't know if we're going to be so lucky this time, but I'm always positive when the Kings play the Lakers because I just hate the Lakers so much.
I just hope that they get some rest because LeBron and company are going to be coming for them big time here after losing that game in triple overtime in the fashion they did.
Oh, yeah.
None of them really had that great of a game. I mean, LeBron had 30 points, but he still didn't have that great of a game. And the Kings better be ready for Monday.
Yeah, I was thinking the Lakers, would
Tuesday.
Yeah, would want to be taking out their frustrations tonight on the Detroit Pistons from their last loss. I saw James Worthy after the game said that that's not Lakers basketball. That's not a team basketball. Yeah. He didn't want to talk. He just wanted to go home after the game and not even do any commentary. But the Lakers are up 3 right now over the Pistons at halftime, 51-48. Cal, I want to talk about this starting lineup. It's the first time we've seen the starting lineup this season. You and I have talked about a bunch of different starting lineups. Obviously, they're having injury problems right now, which kind of handicaps you in a lot of these decisions. But I don't think this was a good starting lineup at all. And as soon as I saw it, before a single point was scored in this game, I was like, I don't like this starting lineup at all.
Yeah, I don't want this to – I'm not viewing this as a negative on Alvin Gentry. Since he has taken over the team, he pretty much hasn't had a healthy roster. So we really don't know what exactly he believes as the starting lineup for this team. I mean, we've seen the Fox, Haliburton, Barnes, Harkless, and Holmes for a second, and then it was Len, just like they started the season. So maybe that is his go-to starting lineup. I'm not sure, but he really has been handicapped a lot since he's taken over the team, just because they haven't had all of these guys have been out. This lineup, I just feel like, the Grizzlies are super young and athletic. They love to get up and down the court. So I feel like he was just trying to match that with Terrence Davis and Metu being athletic guys who can also do the same, get up and run, get up and down and run. They just didn't have it, like we said, from the beginning tonight. So would I start this lineup again, even if they were in this game? I'd probably not. I'm not really sure. I don't think Terrence Davis has really shown me enough to earn a starting spot. Metu, I loved what I saw from him initially, and it slowly started to fade away from there. But
and just to be clear, the starting lineup was Fox, Haliburton, Davis, Metu, and Len.
Right.
Yes.
Right. They just haven't really had all the pieces there. So it's kind of like you have to have a hodgepodge of guys thrown together anyway.
Yeah, and I know the injuries make you go in different directions, but it feels kind of like Alvin did Terrence Davis a favor in letting him start this game. Terrence Davis is from the Memphis area. They said he had over 60 friends and family in attendance at the game. Right. He started the game. He didn't even last a minute. They pulled him out and threw Buddy Hield in there. After that, I think they were down 5-0 at that point. Then it ends up being 11-0. He didn't go back in until like the second quarter. Then we saw him hobble off and go into the locker room. Then he comes back into the game and starts again in the third quarter. But it's just such a strange starting lineup. And, I loved what I saw out of the Bagley-Len combo as far as defense in the Lakers game.
Yeah.
Alex Len only played 7 minutes tonight. And I didn't really see him after that. I didn't see him get injured. I didn't see anything like that. It was just really, really strange. And I think Gentry, he goes with guys that aren't making mistakes and that are playing well. And I feel like once you come out, if he feels like other guys are playing well, he'll wait to put you back in and kind of roll with those guys. But nobody was really playing well in this game. No. The Kings, they scored 25 points in the first quarter, which is, decent considering they were down 11-0, but they gave up 38 points in the first quarter, 38 points in the second quarter, and it just kind of ballooned after that.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. You and I talked about starting Marvin Bagley. Only 19 minutes for Bagley tonight, and I know, I say only because, we want to see more from him. But 19 is a lot of minutes for him, considering he got 10 minutes in the second game of the season and didn't play a lot after that. 1 of 3 tonight from him, 4 rebounds, and a steal. So we didn't really see much from him. He went to the free throw line, made 3 out of 4. But I really liked what I saw to Tristan Thompson. And I know I keep saying this over and over, that he seems like a guy that's just always ready. I saw an interview with him saying that, he wants to reprove to the NBA and just to everybody in the league that he's the hardest working big out there. I might consider starting Thompson and Bagley together. Just because Bagley's shown that he, has a little bit of range and he's played good defense, and Tristan Thompson is just Mr. Reliable for the Kings right now with Harrison Barnes out. He gets boards. He's always there. He's always available. I think that'd be a pretty interesting starting lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, until the Kings get these guys back healthy, Holmes, Barnes, and even Harkless, I think you could potentially see a different starting lineup every game until that happens. Just because this team is so inconsistent. They have all these guys that now are getting minutes.
Yep.
And so it really is anybody's guess as to who could get the start on any given night, especially after a game like this, when, you really can't learn much from any individual player here in this game.
Yep.
There's nothing to take away from it. So, I love what Tristan Thompson has brought all season long.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely no surprise that he is the only one that looks like he's playing with energy in this game, given his history in the NBA and his career. And so, yeah, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see anybody start at this point. I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
And, to your point of not seeing Alex Len much in this game and even De'Aaron Fox, that is also obvious to me. Even when in the first half, when the Kings pulled to within 6, I think it was in the first quarter, and then they pulled it to 8 in the second quarter, you knew that this game was over from the beginning. Just the body language, the energy, the effort.
Mm-hmm.
So coming off of a game where you have guys play these huge minutes and they obviously look tired, De'Aaron Fox goes over 50 minutes. Alex Len almost 40 minutes, I think, in that triple overtime game.
Yep.
I was absolutely not surprised to see them not play much in the second half, because you just got to say, hey, let's go get some rest for these guys and back to the drawing board.
Yeah, Angel, I would love to have Rashawn start, but he's not available right now because he's injured. So I would take Tristan Thompson in the meantime. But I wouldn't say Alvin got out-coached in this game. Just the team didn't show up.
No.
You and I had talked about the last game and the game before. What we saw from Alvin Gentry was he took these timeouts to stop some of these big runs and give the Kings a chance to get back in the game. But he didn't have enough timeouts for this game, for the amount of runs. He called a timeout after an 5-0 run to start the game by the Grizzlies, pulled out Terrence Davis, put Buddy Hield in there. Then they go another 6-0 run to make it 11-0, calls another timeout. And there was just too much. The Grizzlies were getting to the basket. They were making shots, and the Kings just weren't. They just didn't have any energy tonight. Straight up. I know you and I had talked about Metu and how we want to throw him in the starting lineup to replace Mo Harkless. But I was really disappointed with Metu tonight. 11 rebounds for him, which was a team high, which is good. That's what you want. But I just felt like he was taking too many shots. He's just chucking shots up. 2 of 11 tonight, 0 of 6 from three-point range. Tyrese Haliburton only had 4 shots tonight. And, you and I have been critical of him in the past, saying that, he's been reluctant to be aggressive in some of these games. He's passing out to other guys to get other guys involved. But there needs to come a point where you're Tyrese Haliburton and you're like, okay, I'm the best option right now. I need to look to get my shot. And Metu was just chucking up threes. He was just taking way too many shots. Like 11 shots is crazy. The only person that got more shots than that is De'Aaron Fox out of the starting lineup. It's wild. It's really wild to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also think that there's plenty of blame to go around. It wasn't just him. I mean, the Kings attempted 42 threes as a team in this game.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Even for today's NBA, that's a lot. And you only hit 9 of them, so they're all bricking from out there. It just there's just nothing else you can really say. I mean, none of them brought it whatsoever, and I think they were mentally out of this game right away. So that, maybe speaks to your point of Tyrese not looking for his shot or De'Aaron Fox not looking for a shot as much as we're used to seeing him to do or as he should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew that this game was over right from the beginning.
Yeah, it was really, really
which is so disappointing to say. As professionals, It doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter if it was a back-to-back or if you played 6 overtimes the last game.
Yep.
I mean, you have to find a way to dig deep. And I guarantee you Michael Jordan wouldn't have come out and put together an effort like that.
Yep.
I realize Michael Jordan is maybe not the fairest comparison, but that's the mentality, right? That's what you need. We need that guy, that dog. We talked about Davion Mitchell being a personality, something like that early on in the season, and being something that the Kings really need.
Yep.
And tonight, you didn't see that from anybody, even Davion.
It's the difference between a good team and a bad team, is being ready and nobody was ready on the Kings tonight. It didn't matter if he went big, if he went small. Guys were not getting back on defense. They weren't covering their assignments. I saw the Grizzlies play a lot of zone in this game, which completely threw the Kings off. They weren't sure how to react, so then they just end up chucking up threes, which is not what you want to do. And they're not getting boards. They just didn't do many things well in this game. They didn't. All right, so I want to move on here. We have some big news regarding DeMarcus Cousins. As many of you might have heard, DeMarcus signed with the Milwaukee Bucks, the reigning champs. How do you feel about this move from Milwaukee, and what do you think Boogie can bring to them, Cal?
I'm not so sure. The Bucks have gotten off to a bit of a slow start, all things considered, being the defending champs, bringing back their whole roster. Yes, they've had injuries as well. A lot of their key players, their star players, have missed a lot of games. So, I feel like they're reaching here for a little depth. In terms of what he can give them, I'm not so sure. I mean, I see him kind of a similar style of player to Brook Lopez now. He's going to be a big man that's on the perimeter, hoisting up shots. I feel like he can give them some good minutes here and there. It makes total sense to me that he ends up on a team like this. It's got to be a deep team, a competitive team, because I'm not really sure that he can go out and play 20 minutes a night anymore, or at least effective minutes a night. So, it makes total sense to me that he ends up on the Bucks or the Lakers or the Nets or something like that. But I'm not really sure what to expect from him.
I'm just happy to see him getting on another team, getting another chance. He can stretch the floor. I think he can do a lot of things for this Bucks team. But like you said, it's just how long can he do it for? How long can his body hold up? And, maybe playing in this limited role for them. Exactly. He will be able to play and stay healthy the whole season and maybe extend his career and play a few more years. It's so unfortunate seeing a guy, we had our ups and downs in Sacramento, but this guy was our franchise player for a good amount of time. Many Kings fans really loved him. I know the breakup at the end, trading for Buddy Hield, was kind of mixed, a lot of mixed reactions, and him and Grant Napier having their stuff together. Yeah. But, you really root for this guy, and you never want to see a guy go out with injuries and have all these injury issues. So I'm just happy to see him back on another team and getting another shot at a title. So
definitely. But all Kings fans, I think, are going to root for DeMarcus no matter what. He's just such a unique talent. I mean, this guy was the best center in basketball for a few years when he was with the Kings.
Yeah. Lane says he can bring flagrance and a bad attitude.
He will bring that. I mean, that's the thing, though. We saw, when he was with the Warriors, even when he was with the Lakers, even though he didn't play much, being put in a situation, winning cures a lot of things, right? Yeah. So you saw a lot less of that from him because they were winning, and he knew that he had a chance to go out and compete for a championship. But he's also he's DeMarcus Cousins, so he's still going to have that.
He's going to get in his feelings. Well. Yeah. He's going to get in his feelings, but I think knowing that you're expendable changes a lot of things too.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
And sitting on the couch for this whole start of the season, wanting an opportunity,
almost having your career taken away from you because of injuries. That definitely puts a different mindset in you as well, and that you're not going to be playing this game for forever. And all these guys, Klay Thompson is in that same boat right now. I think Klay Thompson still has maybe a little bit more to give than DeMarcus Cousins. We'll see. I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back, but when you're one of the best in the world and all of a sudden you can't play anymore and you don't know if you're ever going to get another opportunity again, that definitely changes your mindset.
And you threaten to kill your baby mama and all that stuff.
That might change things for you too. But
all right, moving on here. I want to talk about the 9th overall pick, Davion Mitchell. We got to see a lot of him tonight. 31 minutes. He shot decent, 5 of 12. 11 points for him, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover. You know, a lot of Kings fans were expecting the world from this guy, especially after seeing him have co-MVP of the Summer League and what he brought through the preseason and all that. He had some really, really good shooting nights early on. Mm-hmm. And I think people took that a little too far, and they're like, wow, this guy's ready to start right away. You know, he needs to be in the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. Fox is expendable now because we have this guy. You look at his season stats. So he's played 20 games for the Kings this year, regular season games. He's averaging about 9 points a game, almost 3 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He's shooting 37% from the field and 27% from three-point range. How are you feeling about this guy? Are you up? Are you down? Are you patient because he's a rookie?
I'm still really high. I'm preaching patience, and I'm still really high on Davion Mitchell. You know, his skill set and more importantly, his demeanor and his attitude and how he approaches the game, that alone right there gives me enough confidence in him to say that this guy is going to work out to be a pretty good player. But we got to remember, he's a rookie.
Yep.
I mean, he's an undersized rookie as well. It's one thing to be an undersized guy in high school and in college. You know, he's so athletic that you can get away or, you know, make up for a lot of those height deficiencies. In the pros, all of a sudden, everybody catches up to you with the athleticism and the talent.
Yeah.
So he's going to go through rough patches. He's going to struggle. There are very few rookies that come into the league that don't have rough patches to their first season, and those guys go on to be Hall of Famers and all that other stuff. So,
and even guys with rough patches go on to be Hall of Famers.
I mean,
too.
Cade Cunningham was the #1 pick this year. He's played well overall. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't looked like a Hall of Famer right away from the beginning. So, you know, I definitely hope that Kings fans don't pile on him too much here because he's going through a tough patch or he's struggling shooting the ball. He's going to work through the kinks. It's a long season. And, you know, I expect him to be playing at a very high level by the time the season is over.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I think he was one of the, if not the oldest player in college basketball, one of the oldest players in college basketball last season, being a 4-year guy. And then he goes into the NBA and all of a sudden he's playing against 30-year-olds who are bigger, stronger, faster. They know all the ins and outs. They have their veteran moves to pick up fouls on him, take advantage of the things that he hasn't quite mastered yet.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit about soccer when I was younger, because I'm an August guy. So the way they would do soccer was the cutoff was August 1st. So when I was like U10, I was the oldest guy. Then the next year, I'd be the youngest guy. Then the year after that, U12, I'd be the oldest guy again. And it kept going where I'd be oldest, youngest, oldest, youngest. And when I was the oldest guy, I was like the best player on the team. And then the next year I'd be the youngest guy and I'd be in, you know, the middle of the team. And so, yeah, it's kind of a similar situation. So
yeah,
he needs more miles under his belt.
He does. And Charlie, you know, your comment is right. A lot of guys have worked hard and never made it, but everybody who didn't work hard, 100% of them never made it. So I think we need to have maybe just a little bit more faith in him. Not only does he work hard, and you can tell that he studies the game and all this stuff, he has a lot of talent.
Yep.
He does. I mean, he's improved his every year that, you know, he was in college. He got better and better and better. He worked on the things that he was bad at, became a better shooter. He's a good ball handler. He's very quick, has a really good knack for creating space and creating his own shot. There still is a lot to like with this guy. It's real easy right now after this terrible loss and watching all the Kings play like shit, and they've gone through this rough patch where they've lost a lot of games. It's really easy to get on all of these guys and just say, well, blow it up. We need to trade everybody. Yep. And I'm not saying that the Kings don't or shouldn't trade anyone, but I am saying that Davion Mitchell is still a talented prospect in this league, and I think there's still an opportunity for him to work his way into being a very reliable player for a long time to come.
And don't forget, his first 7 games in the NBA, he guarded Dame Lillard, Mike Conley twice, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, and Chris Paul. So that's a pretty rough start to your NBA career. I saw a trade here this morning written by NBAanalyst.com. It's a De'Aaron Fox trade. I'm not advocating for this trade, so don't at me on this. I just want to hear your opinion. It's an interesting one. De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley to the Indiana Pacers for Domantas Sabonis, Jeremy Lamb, Torrey Craig, and a 2026 first-round pick. I think this solves the forward position for the Kings, or center, depending on how you feel him and Rashawn Holmes could fit together. You lose one of your 3-point guards, so you'd be expecting, Tyrese and Davion to step up and fill that position, and then maybe a Buddy Hield come in to be your shooting guard if you're not comfortable with Lamb. It also gives you some wing depth in Torrey Craig to come in. He'd be playing right now when Harrison Barnes is injured. What do you think about this deal?
There are definitely some things that I like about this deal. Obviously, Domantas Sabonis is a great, great player. He's an all-star. The Kings need a power forward, a serious starting power forward. That definitely fills that hole. It also solves their wing depth problem with adding Torrey Craig, who's a really, really good defender, super athletic, gets up and down. He would be great coming off the bench for somebody like Harrison Barnes. I'm still hesitant to pull the trigger on a De'Aaron Fox trade.
Yeah.
That doesn't, they are getting a fair amount back from this, but I'm just going to have to think about it a little longer if I was in the Kings front office here.
Calvin and I are really big De'Aaron Fox fans, and we're not advocating to trade him, but when you're on a losing team that's continually losing, nobody is off limits.
Definitely.
The whole point being a general manager is to just add talent to your team. And however that is, you need to trade somebody for somebody else, and you always want to try and get back more in return than you give up. Sometimes it's a fit issue. When you draft point guards back-to-back years, when your best player is a point guard already, of course, a lot of questions come up about that. The Kings have been reluctant to trade any of these guys. Monty McNair has come out and said he's not trading Fox, Mitchell, Haliburton for now. We'll see if any of that changes down the road. But as of right now, I think De'Aaron Fox is going to net you back the most in any deal.
Yeah, you would hope so. And remember this, too. I see a lot of people in this chat are not so high on Davion Mitchell. If you trade De'Aaron Fox and you don't get a guard back, that means he then is going to be put into a much bigger role on this team.
Yep.
Whether he's starting or not, he's going to play a much bigger role on this team. So is that something that you would want as a Kings fan? I don't know.
Yeah. If you're just joining in, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast live with Calvin and Barry. We are breaking down the Sacramento Kings 101-128 loss today to the Memphis Grizzlies. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. All right, Cal, let's move on. I don't want to talk about this Grizzlies game anymore. I'm over it. I want to move on.
There's no point.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Lakers. We just played the Lakers, beat them, triple overtime, one of the best Kings games that I have seen in a really, really long time. The Lakers are playing the Detroit Pistons right now. They're up 9. They're playing pretty well. Anthony Davis has 16 points in 23 minutes. Russell Westbrook's got 18, 4, and 4 in 23 minutes. And LeBron's got 22, 4, and 3 in 23 minutes. How are you feeling about this game? And do you want to give me your keys to the game?
Well, I'll be honest, I do not feel good about the game. I mean, not expecting any of these guys to be returning to the lineup anytime soon, as in Holmes, Barnes, or Harkless. So we just saw the type of effort that it took for them to beat this Lakers team without those guys. Triple overtime. They literally needed everybody to produce for them that played, and they played 11 guys, almost the whole team. They played a ton of minutes. Now they come to Memphis. They play like crap. Everybody looks exhausted. So I'm definitely not feeling good about this game because it's going to take another one of those efforts, I think, in order to beat the Lakers again. That being said, if Fox plays the way that he did against the Lakers the other night, if Tyrese plays the way he played against the Lakers the other night, and if they can get some really meaningful contributions from a few other people, Tristan Thompson, Marvin Bagley, whoever it is, Alex Len, then yeah, they're going to be in this game. I mean, we've seen it not just against the Lakers, we've seen it against a lot of good teams. The Suns, the Jazz, the Blazers. They seem to play, up to the level of their competition most nights. Obviously, we're not talking about today. We're scrapping that.
Yes.
That game. So yeah, there's definitely still an opportunity here for them, but it's going to take a really, really solid effort on both ends of the ball. Again, I think the keys to the game, I don't really see mine changing much here from the last time they played them. They have to crash the glass. They have to be careful penetrating inside because they really are a much better team when they're scoring a ton of points in the paint. It opens the court up for them to shoot from three. When they come out and they just chuck threes up right away without trying to get paint touches in the half-court offense, they struggle mightily. They usually shoot terribly. So rebound, take care of the ball, and make the smart play inside, I think are going to be my keys to the game as well.
All right, and we'll check in on that on Tuesday after the game. We're also going to be doing an NBA 2K Sacramento Kings rebuild on PS5 tomorrow evening, so make sure you guys tune in for that. We're going to do it live. We're going to have polls going in the chat. We want to hear what you guys want to do. You'll be able to see the screen. We'll show you all the trades, and then we'll let you vote on what trades you want to make, and we'll sim through the season. We'll see what we can do to help rebuild this roster. Nobody is off limits. So, Cal, I want to talk a little bit about, I'm going back to Lakers here. You and I have been having a discussion with one of our friends about who's a better player.
I wondered if you were going to bring this up.
Anthony Davis or James Harden.
Yeah.
I know how you feel, and I'm pretty sure you know how I feel, but I want to know how you guys feel in the chat. Who would you take on your team? If you could take one of those guys, Anthony Davis or James Harden. Doesn't matter who else is on your team.
Should we put a poll up?
If it's your first pick, I want to know. Yeah, I'll put a poll up here. I want to know who you guys would take to start out a team. I'm going to put it in here.
I'm liking these first couple answers here. You guys are smart.
Hey, no ruining it, Calvin. Davis is 3 years younger. Because it's an interesting conversation.
Well, they're very different players, too. I mean,
exactly.
It's really hard to compare the two, because they have very different skill sets and they bring a lot of different things to the table here. And they're both tremendous talents. I mean, they're both two of the best, 10 best players in the world. So,
yeah, Charlie, what is James Harden carried a franchise to? I don't know. He's had a lot of good players that he's played with. Anthony Davis
he's been close.
has not played with a lot of good players.
Been close,
Anthony Davis did not have anywhere near the talent in New Orleans.
That's true. That's
in
very
New Orleans.
true.
And he has a ring, which James does not have.
Does.
But you're right. They are very different players, and it's hard to compare them because their games are so much different. They do so many different things.
Yeah.
And you think about, I think about it kind of similar to when the Kings had DeMarcus Cousins. Having a big guy as your best player on your team, and I'll tell you guys in a little bit who I'd vote for, but having a big man as your best player on your team is tough because when you're down 2 or 3 at the end of the game, I know Anthony Davis is a good three-point shooter, even though he's not shooting well this season from 3. I'd probably rather have a guy like James Harden taking a last-second shot than a guy like Anthony Davis. However, this is not just the last shot. This is having a guy for the whole game, and they both have different impacts on your team. I feel like Anthony Davis fits with so many different types of players, and James Harden does not.
Yeah, well, I mean, James Harden he has to have the ball in his hands so much in order to be the most effective James Harden that he can be, right? Anthony Davis, he can dominate a game scoring 10 points.
Yep.
He can. James Harden can't dominate a game scoring 10 points. And you touched on a very important point here for me in having your best player be a big man. Over the history of the NBA, it is very, very clear. Guards might be the most talented, pure basketball players that you see on a court.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a dominant big man, that is such a huge game changer for your team. You can go back to Kareem and Wilt and Shaq and all these guys.
Yep.
And it just changes so much for you when you have a big man who is that good. And Anthony Davis is one of these new generation big men, like a Kevin Durant, who can put the ball on the floor, drive, shoot from outside. He's just an unbelievable talent, in my opinion. So,
yeah, and the game has changed a little bit since a lot of those guys that you mentioned, but there is the old adage, never trade a big for a small, right? Because they just can't. There's so many smalls, and there's only so many bigs, especially talented bigs.
Yes.
You can find a lot of 6'5", 6'6" guys that can dribble, that can shoot, that can pass. You're not finding a lot of 7-footers that can do that stuff. You really aren't. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for joining us on another Royal Rebounds podcast. It was a really rough loss today. Just throw it out the window. Don't even think about it anymore. I'm not watching ESPN for the rest of the night. I'm turning off everything. I don't even want to hear about Kings Grizzlies. It's over. We're moving on. We're moving to LA. We'll see you guys all tomorrow for our 2K rebuild, and then we'll see you Tuesday after the Lakers game. Cal, you got any final words you want to say?
I wish I had one of the, what do they call those things on Men in Black that erase your memory?
Oh, man.
A deneuralizer.
Yeah.
I wish I had a deneuralizer so I could just forget about this game and pretend like it never happened, but we're on to LA.
All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful evening. In the meantime, go Kings.